The impact of Buddhism in the first millennium was felt right across East Asia, including in what today is Cambodia. Among the most extraordinary remains here are the temples and monasteries of Angkor, right in the heart of the country.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I've just arrived in Cambodia at the city of Angkor Thom. It was the capital of the ancient Khmer Empire. Built in the 12th century, it was the world's largest pre-industrial city. And at its centre is a state temple dedicated to the Buddha.
This bridge leads to the Victory Gate of Angkor Thom, which means literally Great City. It was the centre of an empire that dominated much of Southeast Asia from the 9th to the 13th centuries. It's said that the faces on the gate towers may represent one of the Buddha's bodhisattvas, or they may be the face of the king who built all of this, Jayavarman VII. Remarkably, the Khmers left no written records apart from some stone inscriptions. But even a couple of hours wandering around the amazing ruins gives you a powerful sense of what must have been a truly astonishing metropolis. Right in the middle of the city, precisely aligned with the gates and with the points of the compass, is the official state temple called the Bayon. Climbing up through its levels with my guide, Professor Vati, we are confronted at every turn with the serene and enigmatic faces on each of the many towers.
Wow. 'Cause all these pillars have faces on them. How many in all?
Oh, actually, there are more than 271 faces because this temple has been decorated with 54 towers. That each of these 54 towers has the same 4 faces, which are opening to the 4 directions,
okay.
Except the central tower. It has got more than 4 faces here.
Once again, some scholars think the faces show the king himself, while others believe them to be the bodhisattva of compassion called Avalokitesvara. Or perhaps because Jayavarman VII identified so strongly with the Buddha and with the bodhisattva, they are meant to combine images of all 3.
This temple is dedicated to Buddha, is that right?
The principal idea of this temple was about the Buddhism, because the King Jayavarman VII, he was the Buddhist king. It was not so much about the political situation, but about the religion.
And he was bringing together people of different religions, particularly of Buddhism, but also Hinduism. Was that something he was concerned about?
That was true, because before he came to the power, there was the struggling between the Hinduism and Buddhism. And they created the uprising inside the Khmer society. So the king got an idea as well to bring these 2 main religions together, and then he got to build this temple, and he encouraged the people from Hinduism and Buddhism to join together. But the main concept is about the Buddhism.
The temple's other great treasure is the series of bas-reliefs that run around the lower levels, with both mythological and historical scenes.
So what are these bas-reliefs of? What are they showing?
Oh, yes. If you look at this bas-relief, all of the carvings are depicting about the real event which had taken place from the 12th century, especially because the actual fighting between the Khmer and Jams in the year 1177 till the year 1181.
So that's a battle between the Khmer Empire and the Chams, who are in what is now Vietnam area.
That's right, south of Vietnam.
So what are we looking at? Who are these guys? What are these characters?
Oh, yes. If you look at all of the characters, you can tell the different people. The army with the ropes across the chest,
yeah.
They were all Khmer armies with long hair, big long nose and big mouth,
yes, that's
and
right,
bare head. The long hair stands for the long life. And the ropes across the chest like this, these were not regular ropes. We call magical rope, because this rope can have protect yourself from being wounded by the weapons, like the spear, like the sword, and they call the kind of the superstitions.
The perhaps rather optimistic Khmers are fighting the Jams, whose invasion of Angkor Thom in 1181 was repulsed by King Jayavarman. With the Jams defeated, the king set about a great program of public building at Angkor Thom, including the construction from 1186 onwards of a royal temple and monastery, the Raja Vihara, in honour of his family.
We've come away from the ancient town of Angkor Thom to another fantastic site. Where are we now?
Original name we call Raja Vihara, which means the royal monastery. The king who built this temple, his name was known as the King Jayavarman VII. He was the most prominent king of the Khmer Empire from the late 12th century.
And this is a Buddhist temple?
The real name is the Buddhist temple, but the activities, it can be some part Hinduism and some part just Buddhism.
Some 12,500 people lived and worshipped here in the heyday of the temple, which is known by its modern name of Ta Prohm. But with the fall of the Khmer Empire in the 15th century, like many of the buildings of Angkor Thom and indeed of the nearby Angkor Wat, it was abandoned to the jungle. In contrast to so many of the other temples, however, when archaeologists began the process of restoration in the early 20th century, it was decided that Ta Prohm, with its recently resident roots and towering trees, should be left, as they said, as a concession to the general taste for the picturesque. Today, its wonders and mysteries ensure that it is truly a magical place, and like nowhere else that I've been in the world.